What if I told you that there is a way to failure-proof your family? Would you be interested? Stick around. So as leaders in the business world, in our careers, we are in a position where we try to avoid certain failures. We want to make sure that our businesses succeed. We want to make sure that our teams are successful. We want to make sure that whatever enterprise we are engaging in and we are pursuing is a successful one in the end. We want to make sure that our investment of energy, time, resources, and effort is not for nothing, and that in the end we're going to reap rewards and that we're going to have what we consider to be success. Then we go to our families, and we want to ensure that our kids and our families are in a position to do the same thing, to use everything at our disposal to at the end feel like we are a successful, thriving family. The problem with that is that we seem to have equated success with not experiencing failure. Somewhere along the line, somebody sent out this memo or this concept that failure is the opposite of success. Well, if we're going to failure-proof our families, that is the very first thing we need to do. We need to redefine failure. Failure is not the opposite of success. In fact, failure is the stepping stone that leads to success. If we understand that, if we teach our kids that, if we move from thinking, if I fail, then first of all, I'm a failure, which is not true. And second of all, there's no way I can reach success if I fail, then we can stop being so afraid of it that it stops us dead in our tracks. Many people don't even try anything because they're too afraid to fail. And in our families, we sometimes pass that on to our kids, right? It's like, stay on the safe side. You have no idea how many young people I've heard say, well, if you don't try, you can't fail. Well, the reality of it is, if you don't try, you've already failed. So you need to shift the definition in your conversation with your family, in the interactions with your kids. Shift how you see failure and make it a good thing. Celebrate every time your kid fails. If your kid fails at a sport, say, woohoo, you failed. That means you tried. You don't have to exaggerate it that much, right? But have the conversation. You failed? That's awesome. That means that you tried something that you're not good at yet, right? That means you tried something that you're not skilled to do yet. You failed? That's amazing. That means you have something that you can work on and some room to grow. And let's shift how we process it in front of them and how we teach them to process it. Because if the kid comes in and they say, oh, I bumped my math test, and you go, that's horrible. You failed. How could you fail? See, and even that F at school, we can talk about that later. But if instead of that you say, okay, so what happened? What did you do? What could you have done differently? What did you learn from not doing as well as you wanted to? What would you need to do better next time? How can we help you so that the result next time is better? What resources do you have at your disposal that could help you do better next time? And if we shift from, oh, you failed, you're a failure, that means your life is over, you're not going to get into the right school, and then, life is just horrible, to processing the information and figuring out what can be drawn from it that will be productive, then guess what? They will learn to process those moments in a different way. And I'm not saying tell them not to try. On the contrary, notice that in my conversation, there wasn't anything about, oh, well, it's okay. That's something completely different, right? The conversation is, okay, what can we learn from this? How can we use this experience for a productive end? Which leads me to our overall understanding of what success is. Because if we are trying to redefine failure, and if we're trying to understand that failure, first of all, doesn't define us, and second of all, doesn't limit how far we can go, but actually maybe opens up the possibilities for growth, then we also have to take a closer look at how we're defining what success is. Because sometimes we feel like we have failed based on what our definition of success is. See, if my definition of success says that I have to have $100,000 in the bank, and I don't have the $100,000 in the bank, then I feel like I failed because of my definition of success. Does that make sense? So if we redefine success in a way that is not just more manageable, but something that, while not fully attainable, is part of a process, then we can plug failure in there, or those moments in which we quote unquote failed, as stepping stones towards whatever that new definition of success is. So let me give you a for instance. In our world, for whatever reason, we have come to define success very much in numerical terms. So the grades that you get, the salary that you earn, the placement in or the ranking in your class, right? So we have come to define a lot of our success based on numbers. And I guess that is effective because numbers are easy to gauge and easy to see. But what that has done is that we have then pushed aside other things that could and do form part of what true success is because they cannot be quantified. Right? So what am I saying? If instead of praising your kid for the 90% in the grade that constitutes an A, right? Or their 4.0 GPA that constitutes an A, if we value and praise the effort, if we value and praise their study habits, if we value and praised their ability to help others in the process, then we are redefining success not in numerical terms, but in terms of values and in terms of something that is internal and that is going to define the character of those kids. So if we stop looking at success as fitting in this mold and as getting the right numbers, then it's easier for everybody to experience success in one way or another, regardless of what their area of ability is. And why do I say area of ability? Because everybody has one, but it's different. And we will talk more about that in another video. But think about it. We don't need to have our family conform to society's definition of success. They don't necessarily have to go to an Ivy League college or get into the right school in order to get a job that will be fulfilling, that will use their abilities and their talents, and that will help them earn a good living. They don't necessarily have to do that. I mean, look around. How many people do you know that have amazing degrees from amazing colleges and are jobless right now because of COVID? How many people have you seen in the past that have gone through all the schooling and then in the end do something that has nothing to do with their degrees or their school preparation? How many of you maybe even are successful in a career that has nothing to do with what you went to school for? How many of you know now that if you just had specialized capabilities in certain areas, you would be maybe even better off financially than you are right now, even with a college degree? I know I have a master's degree, but what I do today does not depend necessarily on that master's degree. Did I learn things from it that helped me? Yeah. But the skills that I need the most to build my business, the marketing, the communication, the one-on-one interaction, the building rapport, all those things I didn't learn from my master's degree. I learned from other trainers and mentors and other things. So maybe if we stop for a second and think, okay, what is success going to really look like as a family? Is it going to be just putting forth our best effort? Is it going to be learning how to maximize our resources? Is it going to be learning to identify where we can get help when we need it and how we can help others when they need it? Then we can all walk towards success. Now, I've said this before and I will probably say it again, but the best definition of success I've ever heard in my life came from Earl Nightingale, and he said, that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And what I love about that definition of success is that it's progressive. You never fully reach it, but as long as you are working towards it, you are successful. And maybe that is what we need to consider. And the last thing I will say in terms of this whole idea of failure proofing your family is that most of the time, most of us, and I am including myself here, end up feeling like a failure or like less of a success because we compare ourselves to others. If we can stop comparing ourselves to others, if we can stop trying to live up to somebody else's version of what success looks like, if we can stop looking to the sides ahead or behind us, then we can start just focusing on us and what we need to do in order to progress towards that success. I know it's easier said than done. Like I said, I struggle with this still. But we need to stop comparing where we're at to where other people are at. I mean, here I am in my late 40s building a business. I could sit and say, you know what, I'm too old because most successful business people start in their 20s. I'm too late, forget it. But I did something else during that period of my life that those people didn't do. I gained other successes and I learned other lessons and I earned other capabilities during that period of my life that those people didn't. And that puts me in a unique position to experience other types of success at this stage in my life. So if we can stop comparing ourselves to others and just comparing ourselves to who we were and to who we want to be, then we can start feeling better about the progress we've made and the direction in which we're moving. And we can teach that to our kids as well. So I'm Marcia Amaro, and I'm here to help you be the leader for your family so you can raise capable, confident, innovative leaders that are ready to change the world. If you have found value in our conversation, check my podcast, Sincerely Speaking, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos.